All right, Ken. Well, thank you for making the time. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your involvement in the supplements industry?
I'd be delighted. I've been working in dietary supplements for a little over 35 years. I started off as an herbalist and nutritionist, realized that I probably shouldn't be a practitioner, but that I truly loved the tools. And that led to some senior roles in product development with some major brands. About a dozen years of contract manufacturing work where I really learned how products were built. And for the last 8 years, I've been working as a consultant in the space, working on product development and business development in nutraceuticals. And I've had the opportunity to start my own firm and also to help co-found a big partnership out of New York called Beyond Brands. And that's what I've been doing for the last 8 years.
Awesome. A lot of things
Yeah.
to keep busy.
Yeah, I should also add that I get involved in regulatory affairs as well. For the last 17 years, I've served the Natural Products Association on their comply committee, which is where FDA, FTC, and industry kind of get together to work out issues. And it's about building effective, safe products and communicating in an ethical, honest, and open manner. So I think that that's also really inflected my work quite a bit.
Awesome. So you've been in the space for a long time. You've seen a lot of new innovative ingredients come to market. What about
Yes.
ingredients, Benicaros and Amuse, really stand out to you?
Well, the immune space in general went for a wild ride these last few years. The pandemic really got people's attention that they needed to focus on immune function. And what's really interesting about both of these is they were very much in process prior to the pandemic, but rose to prominence coming out of the pandemic in that, well, Amuse is a postbiotic. That's a new term for a lot of people. Most folks have heard of probiotics, and these are the live bacteria that live in our bodies. Most people have about 30, 40 trillion probiotic bacteria living in them. A postbiotic is either a byproduct or a dead or lysed probiotic cell that still has biological activity. It confers a benefit to the host. And in the case of Amuse, it's really remarkable. This specific Lactobacillus paracasiae that's been heat stabilized or heat killed stimulates dendritic cells in the immune system called PDCs. And these are kind of the master controller, organizer, managers of immune function. If you look at the immune system, 80% of it's in our gut, in our digestive system. That's where immune cells like to hang out. They also circulate around our body. So taking something orally that can trigger and support PDCs is an absolute breakthrough. So that one really got my attention. I was really excited about that. With Benicaros, Benicaros is an upcycled prebiotic. Upcycled means you're taking something that's normally trash and turning it into cash. So in this case, it's the leftover from making carrot juice. It's carrot pumice. So they're taking carrot pumice, refining it, and getting a very special type of fiber from it. And that fiber has, again, some really nice immune supportive and gut supportive impacts. And in a human clinical trial, what they did was they took a bunch of willing volunteers, I wouldn't have signed up for it, and intentionally infected them with the common cold, that miserable thing that most of us encounter once or twice a year, sometimes less if you're lucky, more if you're not. If you're traveling a lot, you probably have more run-ins with it. In this case, it cut the suffering time in half, and it cut the severity of symptoms in half. And that was published in a very reputable peer-reviewed journal. So that got my attention when something is that effective in a large group of people, and they really kind of put it through a heck of a test, intentionally infecting people to see if it worked, grabbed my attention, and I wanted to build something using both of them because these activities are synergistic. They work together. They support each other.
Awesome. That's a wonderful synopsis. Appreciate that, Ken.
A pleasure.
So, as you're very well aware, at Well Traveled, we combined Benicaros into Muse, and then we added plant-based versions of vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. Can you talk
Yes,
about what this blend of ingredients does for a consumer?
absolutely. Well, let's start with the essentialness. These are essential nutrients, which means you don't consume them from the diet, you're not going to get enough. If you look at vitamin D in most people, they don't have enough in circulation. So supplementing with vitamin D is really important, specifically vitamin D3. It's more bioactive than vitamin D2. So we wanted to use vitamin D3, and then we took it a step further. We wanted to use a plant-derived source because 99% of the vitamin D3 in the market comes from sheep grease, basically the lanolin on wool. And we kind of found that a little bit icky, and we knew that there was a beautiful algal source of it. So we used the algal-derived vitamin D3. It's a little more expensive, but we think it's worth it. And we used a somewhat conservative but helpful dose of vitamin D3. Zinc is another nutrient that has a long storied career in immune support, and taking a little bit, not a huge amount, can help gently support immune function. And the same is true with vitamin C. So we used a plant-derived vitamin C, not the synthesized stuff from GMO corn that you find in most foods. And I'll go back to the zinc. The zinc is also a fully chelated and plant-derived form of zinc. So you know, there's growing evidence that food sources of nutrients work better. If you look at science, say on scurvy and vitamin C, scurvy is the disease of vitamin C deficiency. One lime a day, which actually doesn't contain the DV or the recommended daily value of vitamin C, will prevent scurvy because it's a powerful plant-based source of the nutrient that has all these interesting cofactors in it that make it work better, bioflavonoids, other types of compounds in there. We feel that the plant-based sources, well, we don't understand all the science yet. The demonstrated facts are that they work better, they're gentler, and you know what? Humans have been taking food source nutrients for millennia, as long as there's been humans. Our experience with synthetic nutrients is newer. I'm not saying they're problematic at all. They work quite well. Most of the published research is on those, but plants work better.
Couldn't agree more myself. Always like to get things from Whole Foods when I can.
Sure.
Uh, so you mentioned this a little bit in the context of Benicaros and Muse, but why are prebiotic and postbiotic ingredients so important for a consumer? Or maybe more broadly,
Well,
why should they care about their gut health?
oh gosh, that's a great question, and something that the science on this has hockey sticked over the last couple of years, where we're now at a rate of multiple thousands of peer-reviewed publications per year. I don't read all of them, but I do read a lot. Um, Gut health and how your biome, your microbiome functions is a real big determinator of immune function, aging, general health and wellness, mood. I could go on and on for days about the implications of a healthy microbiome. Prebiotics, postbiotics, and probiotics all support gut health. And our gut is how we interrelate with the world around us. As I mentioned earlier, 80% of your immune cells are in your gut. If your gut is not functioning effectively, you cannot assimilate nutrients, you don't eliminate toxins effectively, your body doesn't metabolize compounds efficiently. It can affect brain function, joint function. I mean, again, there's a wealth of data here, but it's very, very clear that so goes the gut, so goes just about every other system in the body. And here's the bad news on this topic. Modern society is not biome friendly. Modern society, the foods we eat, the chemicals we're around, traveling is punishing to the biome. It reduces the total count of microorganisms and the diversity of microorganisms in the gut. So the way to counter that is to feed the diversity, feed activity, and support that activity. So Of course, I like to eat fermented foods. I take probiotics as well. You should too. But prebiotics and postbiotics, I think those are the game changers. They're shelf stable. They don't require refrigeration. They don't die in the bottle. Very, very safe, very effective.
Awesome. Really, really powerful stuff. Thank you, Ken.
Truly a pleasure.
Well, we appreciate you making the time to speak with us about, well-traveled and what ingredients we use and why they're so important to the consumer. So thank you.
Well, I look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
That's good. Take care.